Plods. Welcome to another episode of the Crystal Thems, a Steven Universe rewatch podcast. I'm Liz, and with me, as always, is Sid.
Hello, I'm Sid.
So today we are talking about an episode in season 1 that I truly love. It is season 1, episode 7, Bubble Buddies. We finally meet Connie.
I know, I'm so excited. Bubble Buddy, it's one of the cutest episodes.
It's so cute. For those who
Yeah,
need a little recap, this is the episode where Steven finally gets the courage to try and talk to Connie. While rehearsing how to say hello, Steven saves Connie from some falling rubble with a giant pink bubble, which is the first time we see Steven's pink bubble. They try to break the bubble open, just find themselves in dire straits when each attempt fails and makes things a little worse. Ba, ba, ba.
Ba-ba. This episode aired December 2nd, 2013, and is number 6 in production code, despite airing as the 7th episode. This episode is written by Kat Morris and storyboarded by Aleph Romanillos. It is storyboarded by Ian Jones-Cordy, Rebecca Sugar, as always, and it is directed by Kevin Dart as the art director and Ian Jones-Cordy as the supervising director. This episode, I believe, had 1.61 million US viewers upon air. So that is exciting, and this is right on the heels of Catfingers.
Yes, this is right after Cap. This is also the last episode that aired in 2013.
That's right, it is. It's the last episode we had in that year before the start of 2014 and some changes to the release schedule.
Mm-hmm. Last of the year.
Exactly. Last of the year, hoorah. So, yep, December 2nd, 2013. And we get to see Steven and his adorableness and meet Connie.
We meet
Oh,
Connie, who we've only seen in the opening so far. It's just like the random girl with the dress in the opening, so we finally find out who that is.
exactly. We start the episode with like earthquake screams that all the gems are just kind of worried about. Of talking about, oh, they can't possibly be just earthquakes. They're too consistent.
I mean, also, there's screeching that goes. I
Exactly.
don't know. I know I don't live in earthquake area, but the few earthquakes I have experienced usually don't come with screams.
Yeah. As someone from earthquake area, the screams are not that loud. They don't sound like part of the earthquake. It's the earthquake, and then you might hear people screaming afterwards if something fell. But usually it's not. This is something extra that they should maybe
Yeah,
investigate more.
the screeching. Yeah.
Yeah, the screeching's
Yeah.
never part of the earthquake. It's always after we go, no, my bookshelf!
Oh no. We do also see Steven's bike for the first time and his little cute red helmet is safety first.
Safety first. He's a very safe boy. I'm so certain that Pro bought that helmet.
Yes.
Pro bought
In
it.
fact, she probably actually bought an entire I mean, he probably has like shoulder pads, elbow pads, knee pads, like
Yeah,
everything. And Steven's like, I'm just gonna wear the helmet. Or God
exactly.
forbid, Steven, just wear a helmet.
The helmet's the important part. The knee pads and the elbow pads, you can skip those. Kids don't skip those. But if you're gonna skip them, skip the knee pads, but keep those elbow pads. You really need those.
I mean, also wear closed toe shoes, which I'm like,
Exactly.
Steven,
That's who. Where
wear
don't
flip
I
flops.
as I've broken that rule many a time. It's a lot of beach culture to just kind of go. I'm already in the sandals. I'm gonna. If you're doing that, buy cruiser paddles. Just switch out your the spokes for cruiser spokes. They're built for flip flops. You'll be fine. Just switch them out. Go get a cruiser.
Amethyst is us because Steven's going down the stairs. His bike gets away from him. We run into the crystal gems. Amethyst just goes, "Hey, look, Steven's got a bike,"
Exactly.
which is
Just
like not
immediate.
my exact wording. I was like, "Oh, Steven's bike."
Exactly. Also, Steven is not paying attention to them. He's just like worried about his bike. He's like, oh, I'm just going out for a ride, and I'm so normal and not suspicious at all right now.
Yeah, right. And Pearl's just like in the sand.
Yeah, don't. Again, if you're gonna ride a bike on the sand, get a cruiser. They're built for that. This is not that kind of bike. And Steven is
Not a fan of it.
struggling.
He is struggling to put it nicely. I'm impressed he's gotten this far.
Exactly. He is putting his all into this. He's trying
Like, he could
so
have had the
hard.
same effect just walking his bike like he was a moment ago.
Exactly.
But he does that, like, kind of, like, kid thing of, "I'm gonna talk really loudly about something that I like just to see if the person I wanna talk to looks over and goes, 'I like that too.'"
Yeah.
Also, not just a kid thing, I'm not saying I've never done that or I have done that, but
It's an easy way to make friends is to just say something out loud about a topic you like and see who looks at you and is clearly also invested in said topic.
I do the introvert way where I literally decorate everything I own with either pins or patches or stickers just for someone to go, "Hey, I like your pin." And I go, "Oh my god, thank you."
Thank you. This was totally natural and not at all planned. Thanks.
Especially if it's something that I know is not super widely known. Like, for example, the show we both really like, She Loves to Cook, She Loves to Eat, which people should read slash watch because it is endearing. I had a pin from that I wore to Dragon Con of one of the covers and that like my friend got me. And one of the artists was like, "Oh my god, I love that series." And so then I stood there and talked to for those Crow Time. So the artist for Crow Time is like, "I love that series." So I stood there and talked to her for a while about the manga. It was great. I was like, "This is why I wore this."
Exactly. This is the whole reasoning. And so Steven is doing something similar where he bikes past a girl he's, a little interested in and just loudly talks about himself. Also, kicks it into overdrive the moment he sees Connie is like, oh, actually, I can bike on the sand totally easily. This
Yeah,
is
this
a
is
smooth ride.
cool. And it's like, "Oh, smooth ride." What was it? 5 speeds.
Exactly. It's got electric blue finish, a tiger bell.
Ding 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 ding. Meanwhile, Connie, every time he looks over his shoulder, Connie's reading the book, which the color of the book suggests that's Catcher in the Rye.
I love
'Cause it's
that
that,
for her.
like I don't know, I had a very, like, visceral memory of 'cause I'm pretty sure I don't know, I got it from my brother or from something, and it's, like, the orange top, the white bottom is, like, on both sides. I was like, "That looks like Catcher in the Rye."
It really
And I'm like,
does.
"That's a very, very specific" whether they were aiming for that or not, I'm like, does this have
I
a meaning, the fact that they may or may not have to catch her in the Rye?
Yeah, I think so because in the opening, I think we mentioned it before, she's reading A Wrinkle in Time. That is definitely the cover for A Wrinkle in Time in the
Mhm,
opening, which has a fun little parallel to Steven Universe of like, oh, boy raised by three magical women? Yeah. No, that this is what's happening. So I think they
mhm.
just keep picking books that kind of relate to what's going on and then just have Connie read them, which love that for
I feel
her.
like
Just nice
Catcher
background
in the
dressing.
Rye kind of works. I mean, it's all about Holden's being over the phoniness of the adult world, and I'm
I
like, "Oh, is this kinda like commentary?" Because I mean, Steven's not acting like himself. He's trying to be very like, "Oh, I'm so cool," which
yeah.
isn't the part that, Connie ends up befriending him. It's when he actually turns into the, like, caring Steven that we know that is, oh my like, sweet and endearing and not like, "Oh, no, we can do this."
Yeah.
You
I
know,
think
is it like the phoniness that Steven's kind of portraying?
yeah, I mean I guess cuz that is the solution to the episode, which spoilers or getting ahead of ourselves is learning to not be superficial and be who you are authentically both for Steven and for Connie. And that's how
Mhm,
you make friendship. And that's how
mhm.
you resolve your problems is to be a real person and not whatever fake version you think will be the most liked.
Yes, I mean, it's like I feel like I don't wanna say a stretch, but
It's definitely a stretch. I mean, A Wrinkle in Time is also a stretch in just the basic premise, or just yes, there are three women with magic, and Steven also knows three women with magic, and that's maybe as close as we're gonna get.
these could also just be books because Rebecca Sugar has said many, many times that the reason why they chose this premise is it's like stories and adventures that they had with their brother Steven.
Exactly.
So, I mean, maybe these are just books that have meaning to them and
That's
to
also very true.
Steven, to their brother Steven. So maybe that's why it is. We're just trying to make something out of nothing, but
Exactly.
eh,
But
for what
no,
you're for.
I mean, but either way, it definitely looks like that is the book cover that she is reading
Yeah,
Catcher in the Rye. So, I'm not sure on why, but that's definitely what it looks like.
right. Uh so we get Steven who's like, I bet a lot of kids wish, and then gets on his bike and immediately falls over again and does the very much embarrassed kid thing of like, oh my god, I just embarrassed myself. I'm out.
He just bailed immediately. He throws his helmet
Leaves his
off and
bike.
runs.
Yeah. And
Which,
Connie's just sitting there like, what?
what just happened? Which, very accurate childhood experience of being on both ends and going, what are you doing? I don't, okay, bye. And then being on the other end of, I've embarrassed myself. I need to leave forever.
I can never go here again.
Listen, you know my relationship with the one comic book store that I can't step foot in for the past
Yeah.
3 years now.
Yeah.
Uh,
I could
listeners,
never.
I tripped 4 times in a row at a comic book shop to the point that even the people who work there started giggling, and I haven't been back in 3 years because I can't show my face there ever again.
I can't do it. Yeah, no, it's true. I have probably a number of places that I've blocked from my memory because I embarrassed myself. And I'm
It's
like,
just
well, scratch that one off the visit list.
exactly can't go back. But
Uh,
uh,
Steven runs
Steve,
away,
he runs away, runs back home inside.
only to find
The
that the
gems are
Jims have
just
been watching
watching.
this whole time,
Exactly.
like
They're
parents.
helicopter mom's just hanging out going, I just want to see what my baby's doing.
Right. And immediately, I would say, immediately start roasting Steven on what's going on. And, "Oh, you like someone." Steven's like, "I like everyone."
Yeah.
Which
I
I
think
think Steven truly is like, "No, I like everyone."
yeah. I do think I Amethyst is definitely roasting him. Pearl is embarrassing him in the other mom way of, oh, I should go talk to her. We have to set up a play date. You have to go hang out with her. And it's like
Yes,
this is the other embarrassing level of like, honestly, just make fun of me. That would be easier than this.
it is. It's like, please just, and then of course you got Cool Garnet who's like, chill.
Garnet, who gives the moral of the episode, just talk to her.
Just go
Just
talk to her.
talk to her like you normally would.
Which great advice. Just go talk to people. And of course Steven's like, I will, but you guys can't watch this time.
Which is fair. Please, it. He says it's gonna mess up his funky flow. And Pearl and Amethyst are like, what are you talking about? But he's right though. Don't watch. I'll get too nervous and then I won't be normal. So
Right,
please
I'm
don't
already
watch
having
me.
a hard enough time, don't watch. So he runs to the freezer and we see the glow bracelet again, which we saw in the very first episode.
Exactly. Yeah, he pulls out the glow bracelet and says, I'm gonna go. The gems are obviously like, confused. What? Why did you grab that? And Steven does not give them answers. He just goes, bye, I'm leaving. Nothing. It's nothing.
And then starts practicing saying hi and changing how he enunciates his name. So you have Steven, and Steven.
Exactly. I love the sweet boy who's just trying to be normal. He's like, how do I say this in a way that's impressive to girls? How do
I feel
I
like this
make a
is that
friend?
moment that someone's like, oh, how do you say milk? And then they're like, "Oh, some people say milk." And then you sit there and go, "Milk, milk, milk,
Milk.
milk."
Milk.
And you're
Some
just
people
like
say
saying it
mulk.
over and over again. Milk, ew. What?
Yeah, the South. All of the South. Malk.
Sounds.
And, which, to be fair, I get it. It's the accent, but I definitely hear it and I go, you're making the word milk doesn't sound real anymore. You've said it too many times in too many different ways.
Pen and pen. It's that kind of thing where you just say it over. I feel like that's what he's doing. He's like, wait, how do I say my name? Steven, 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 Steven,
Steven? What is the best way
Steven.
I can pronounce my own name to get people to think it's interesting?
Normal. But
Exactly.
we get another earthquake.
Another
And
scream quake.
Steven does what Steven does best and automatically tries to keep people safe when he sees rubble falling towards Connie. And as he jumps, just goes, "Hey, my name is Steven!" And like tackles her.
Exactly. Just fully tackles Connie. With it, also, we see the bubble have the rose animation as it,
Yes.
unfurls as a flower and then pops into a bubble, and Steven protects Connie from, getting slammed by a piece of rubble, which, good, Connie, I love you. You gotta be quicker on the move, which you'll get there. You'll get there. I know you will, but your reflexes need to get a little bit faster to get out of the way of danger.
No.
The
Just
rubble
no
is
care.
falling. She'll
Oh,
listen.
she's so there.
It's new for her. She'll get to it. Also, she's so calm about getting just tackled. We're gonna ignoring the bubble. Someone just tackled her, and she was like, "Yep, that's fine. Hi, I'm Connie."
Like straight on tackles and is like, "Hi, I'm Steven." And it's like, "Connie."
Exactly. Which, my darling, I love you. Be a little bit more concerned about what just happened. You almost
Nope.
got crushed to death. You gotta worry some about that.
Uh, I mean, but then she's also just super chill with like what's going on. Oh, I'm magic. Well, half magic on my mom's side.
Which is
Like,
adorable.
does not question this, does not like, oh, we're a Crystal Gym, we fight monsters, protect humanity. And
Just
her response
no.
is, sounds like my dad.
Yeah, which also adds to my thing of the gems have been here the whole time. I think most people know that magic exists in this world. Maybe not exactly which gems, but there are so many just regular gems and gem monsters that are around the world that I'm assuming people just kind of know magic is real.
Yeah, because they are all so dang chill.
So calm about it. Some people I'm assuming don't like it, but at the very least everyone knows magic is a thing.
Yeah, 100%. I really appreciate so this episode's 11 minutes long.
Hmm.
We get a lot of Connie's backstory and these like little almost like throwaway lines. But
Exactly.
I mean, it really informs who Connie is. Dad works for private security, so that automatically can like paint a very specific. Because most people whose parents are like, my dad's in the military. He was a very specific kind of person, a very kind of like a sterner person because military stuff. You kind of like form this idea of who Connie's dad is and that they traveled around a lot. Like that
Exactly.
speaks a lot to how a person is.
Yeah, I it adds immediate levels to like, oh, she travels a lot, so her how she makes connections, it leads a lot to like, oh, she's a quiet kid who reads books. That makes sense. If you travel a lot, it makes it really hard to make connections with people when you're constantly moving from school to school. It's not really worth making friends because they're not going to be there for very long. And also, question, her dad travels for work, and I believe that, and they all move. Her mom is a doctor, we find later. How does that fit into traveling? Is she a traveling doctor? Or a traveling nurse?
I'm wondering if maybe on some level, if that also like dad may not be around a lot.
Yeah. That too. Well, because Connie says they move, which makes me think, well, if she's moving with her parents, I don't think her mom would stick back. Or maybe she does. Maybe her mom has a set practice in a physical location and Connie and her dad move, which would
Yeah,
add to the later on where Connie doesn't feel connected as much to her mom is yeah, if her mom stayed in one location for her medical practice while her and her dad moved around a lot, that would, really lead a lot to how their relationships work because Connie is closer to her dad.
100%. I mean, also if her mom is like a traveling doctor, I mean that's long hours.
Exactly. That can't be a short
Especially
time
as a
thing.
yeah, especially as like a traveling doctor. I mean, usually, granted, I don't have a medical, but I feel like a lot of times when I hear friends who are in the medical professional, like traveling doctors, they have really long calls because they're not in one place for a long time.
Exactly. And just on their own, doctor hours take forever. So it's got to be something where it's just a long time, probably at home, alone, reading her books and just
Hmm.
kind of studying. And not really having close friends because she's in a place she's not familiar with, so it's not worth exploring because you can't go
Mhm.
outside on your own. She doesn't have any friends in this location, so it's just her and her books and whatever new home she's at.
I mean, and she specifically said beaches. Are there a plethora of beaches in this area, maybe?
Yeah. I mean, they're on the East Coast, and most of them, like, each beach can be, like, right next to each other, but they still count as different beaches. So,
Really? I mean, I'm just a Midwesterner,
I know,
so
at least for the West, yeah, there were, beaches would be right next to, they're, like, long stretches, because usually they're cut off by rocks or huge mountain parts, so it's like, no, you do have to move to now a new town to get to the next beach. And yeah, beach security is like a full time thing. So you always have to just kind of stay on the beach and make sure no one's starting a fire because someone always wants to start a fire on the beach. You got to make sure there's no trash, littering. If there's any kind of you're also technically animal control to be like, oh, I got to call somebody. You're also there to be a additional spotter for a lifeguard. Like, yeah, I guess it is a full time like thing, and most beaches are pretty disconnected, but next to each other, where it's like they're right next to each other, but in between them is just a huge mountain that people keep trying to climb over and get trapped in.
I mean,
So
I guess
don't,
I'm just used to like, our beaches like the Great Lakes or like man-made lakes
yeah,
or and then, you kind of like a lot of there's like a beach, but there's a large amount of space between between beaches because it's not or it's like a rock beach, it's not like a sandy beach, so it's different.
yeah, no, a lot of the I can't speak for the East Coast, which at least is where they are, but I know for Western beaches there is. I mean, the entire coast, the entire like half of that country is beaches. So like the entire Pacific, PCH, the Pacific Coast, and then the Pacific Coast Highway, where it's like no, the whole side of California, Washington, Oregon, that's all different beaches. So it's at least 3 states to travel, and I'm assuming it's similar on the East Coast, where every state has its own beaches, and then in each state, those will have multiple beaches there, and they're all separated, usually by like rocks or sand or buildings or just like a hole or a dam or something, where it's like I got to go to a different city to even get to this beach.
Interesting.
Which short lesson in beach history: beaches are incredibly separated and need a security guard because there is always someone trying to cause problems on a beach, and it's usually teenagers.
I mean, I believe that there's people causing trouble on the beaches in the Midwest too.
It's mostly the fire. Don't start a fire at the beach. I know you think it's fine because it's sand and you can put rocks on there, but what you don't know is a lot of beaches have oil as a layer underneath the sand, and that is flammable. So please don't start fires at the beach. You will get in so much trouble and you can hurt so many people. Don't start them.
That
It's so bad.
I didn't know.
Yeah, that's that, or you might mess up because it's most beaches are sand, sometimes oil, but there's also a layer of colder sand where there are a lot of animals that live in that cold sand that you can't touch, and you don't want to mess up their habitat by heating it up because it's going to permeate in the sand and warm them up, and like a lot of crabs, a lot of the ecosystem, a lot of the eggs are down there. Don't boil them alive, so don't start a fire. And also, if you're starting a fire, it's usually people who want a bonfire at the beach and drink, and now you're a bunch of drunk people around a fire, and that's not safe,
That
and
I
you're far away from any medical team.
do understand in the Midwest. I mean, what else do you do when you live in the country? You start
Exactly.
fires and
Exactly.
get
It's
drunk.
drinking fires. But no, for the episode,
Yeah.
um, yes, back to the episode. So Connie and Steven are trapped in a little bubble. Well, not little. They have enough space for them both to stand around. And Connie is so chill about it, just so calm.
Yeah,
And
so it's like, how do we get out? And of course, Steven can't, like most of his powers, he does not know how to control them. But this time, instead of having like the gyms around him to either encourage him or coach him, he's trying to show off to Connie.
exactly. He just keeps saying it's fine and he knows what he's doing and everything's gonna be okay, even when he doesn't actually know what to do about this.
He's like, let's go find them. They'll help us.
Yep. They go
So
to the,
yeah, they start heading up
but it is a steep hill, so they cannot roll this ball up the hill
of sand,
of sand, which has no traction.
no traction. And then once they got to, I'm like, how would you get up the stairs?
That too. Also, I love Stephen calling out for Garnet immediately. Like, of all the gems, he immediately goes to Garnet.
Well, yeah, because Garnet can do anything.
Garnet can do anything, and also,
Is least likely to
spoil.
tease him.
Yep, and spoilers for the movie slash later in the show. Garnet is the heart of the crystal gems.
Yeah, it's true.
Garnet is what keeps them all together. They're not the crystal gems without her.
I mean, I feel like even before we hit the movie part, I mean, Garnet has shown just in these few episodes that tends to be the one who I would say because all of them support Steven, but tends to be the one who like doesn't doubt Steven's abilities.
Exactly. Is just consistently certain that Stephen can do things and has more faith in Stephen than I think even Stephen himself has.
Mm-hmm.
Of just knowing Stephen can do this. If he puts his mind to it or if he tries, he can do it. Maybe not in the exact same way as the gems, but he'll get it done.
Yeah, instead of, he probably fears he will immediately be teased by Amethyst. Pearl's gonna freak out. Garnet will be like talking Steven through and be like, well, blah 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 blah. So I would call
Exactly.
for Garnet too.
Same. But they
But when
cannot
that
get up
doesn't
the
work,
hill.
yeah,
Yeah.
can't get him to help. When that doesn't work, Steven's like, hold on, I know other friends who can definitely help.
Smash cut to the big donut.
With Sadie hammering on the bubble
Which
and
kudos to
Lars.
Sadie for actually helping.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Sadie's gonna be one who's actually trying to do something, and then Lars is just gonna be the teenage boy that Lars is, and be like, "You, Day, you're a little kid," trying to actively embarrass Steven.
Just straight up making fun of him. Like, oh, it's your love bubble of love. I do love that Lars is actively making fun of Steven and calling him names, and Steven is just in the background going, he's my best friend,
Yeah, that's my buddy. That's my bestie.
which is
Uh,
adorable.
and I just am like, Lars, don't lick the bubble. They've literally been rolling around town in that bubble.
I have that note too. I'm like, they were rolling around in the sand, and then the ground, it can't be sanitary.
Yeah,
This can,
don't lick things.
they like, do not lick, that can't be good for you.
It's not, and Sadie's always kind of has Steven's back, is yelling at Lars, and they start arguing and fighting, and uh, Connie has a natural reaction of like they seem like they hate each other, and Steven does a little foreshadowing. It's like, oh, they're totally into each other.
Yeah. I do also love that it's so muffled inside of their bubble. They just straight up cannot tell what's happening around them for most of it. They can hear that they're talking, but not what's happening clearly.
Yeah.
And I do love that Steven has decided that interpretation is everyone is nice and everyone is my friend.
Oh yeah, because that's how he sees it. Even no matter if Lars is being a jerk to him, it's like, oh, you're just teasing me because you're my friend.
Yeah. I do also love just a little bit of irony of Steven looking through a rose tinted bubble and going, no, everything's good on the outside. Everything I see outside of there is good. It's all rose tinted.
I have that note as well. I have it later on because once they're in the ocean, it's still like, no, this is fine. Look, that giant worm's just eating stuff. Nothing else can happen.
Something bad immediately happens.
And yeah, it's very, he very much constantly has these rose tinted glasses on. Um,
Which Connie, I believe, literally has on.
yes, Connie literally does wear like what? Her glasses are pink,
Y-
reddish pink.
yeah, which I know comes up in a later episode when some things happen about those glasses that I won't get
Hmm.
into now, but I do really love the symbolism that is happening here of a rose tinted bubble where inside everything if they ever look out it's always good, nothing bad is happening. This bubble is keeping us safe and I can only see goodness even when I'm actively in danger.
Hmm.
Just I love that. Again, Steven Universe, great show.
I mean, I feel
Great
like
great
that
show.
ties more to Steven though.
Mhm.
is,
Oh yeah, for this right
you know,
now it's Steven.
yeah, I mean, Connie who grew up in a different, you know, family situation than he did, I don't think has the rose tinted, which I mean says a lot because the rose tinted literally comes from Steven. And, you know, Steven's like, "Oh, it's my best friend," as Lars is like actually being really mean to him.
Like he is trapped in a bubble and you are making fun of him.
Mhm.
At he is probably stressed and definitely stuck and it's trapped because Sadie is over there hammering away at it and nothing is
And
happening.
nothing is happening. And his first response is still, "Oh, that's my best friend."
Exactly.
I and I feel like throughout the show, even though he obviously like has to grow up, he never truly loses this like rose tinted ideology. Uh,
Exactly.
his first response is never to hate, never to like automatically despise something. It might come with someone being a danger to himself and to people he cares about, but he still always has that like, "Oh, I care about you first."
Yeah. I wonder if it's sort of like a swap between him and Connie because Steven is in the bubble and having that rose tinted magical experience, whereas those are just Connie's glasses that are pink. And it's like,
Well,
oh no, this is just how she sees the world. It's not rose tinted so much as it is this is the reality of the world, and it's only when the magic bubble happens that Steven gets the like rose tinted everything's perfect, whereas Connie's like, nope, here is the reality. Like they are rose tinted glasses, yes, but they are also glasses, a very utilitarian item of just like, no, I
mhm,
need these to see.
mhm.
I'm not seeing the
Well,
world through rose tinted.
there's a lot of moments when the shadowing on the bubble, like the rose coloring covers Steven more than it does Connie often.
Exactly. Where
Eh,
like Steven
I
is the
mean,
one
she
having
has a little
optimism.
bit, which I feel like is just like a childhood, you know, you in some way, oh, as a kid have rose colored you know, rose tinted glasses towards some things.
Yeah.
Uh, and you know, some people grow out of that really fast. Some people grow out of it slower. And I feel like these are the two examples of that.
Yeah. It also, as you mentioned, it does shadow Steven more. It changes towards the end of the episode where they're both in the bubble, but none of that rose light is on Connie at all.
Yeah.
And that's when she has her break. Is
Yeah.
at the end where it's like, hey, she has that, or if it's an allegory of more, I have faith that we can get out of this, and that's where that
Hmm.
rose tint comes from. And just as more and more happens, Steven still keeps that upbeat attitude, and Connie goes, "We're gonna die at the bottom of the ocean. Oh God."
Right. Yeah. We found out that her, you know, as Sadie runs to get something else to help, which I have a comment about in a moment. We find out that Connie parents don't let her eat donuts because they have trans fats. So you know, she comes from a stricter household.
Exactly. She can't have donuts. I feel that I was not allowed to have candy as a kid. Only in like any party or any event we went to where we had candy, I had to hand it over to my parents to ration out to me of if I was allowed to have it. It's such a weird experience to have no control over the food you eat as a child, which really does parallel that Stephen and Connie are very different lives of Connie
Hmm.
has no control over the things she gets to do. And Steven also has no control, but in the opposite, where they'll let him do anything he wants.
Hmm.
He's allowed to do anything. There's no real restrictions or structure that he has to follow, whereas Connie has the opposite of you can't eat certain foods because your parents don't want you to have them.
Hmm.
And presumably she'll have that similar experience of, oh, did you do the sociable thing of we're at a party and you can't just say no because that makes you the rude person, but you just don't get to eat these. Take them, hand them
Hmm.
over. They're not yours.
Yeah.
Also, then what are they eating? What oils do they have in their house that aren't trans fats? 'Cause that's where it comes from. It's usually the oil.
I don't know.
It
David
can't
has
have butter or any commercial baked goods or like margarine. So So, yeah, I'll figure that out later. But yeah, they have a very different level of control over their lives when Connie just can't even eat trans fats.
Yes, very much so. So Sadie comes back. If a hammer didn't work, Sadie,
Chair will.
a stool definitely won't.
No, but that'll fix it because the hammer was a precise point, but the chair's gonna hit the whole thing, right? That'll fix
Mhm.
it.
I think Sadie just wanted to break a stool.
I mean, that's fair. Do it. And then be like, hey, boss, no, don't take that out of my paycheck. It's because of the magic stuff that happened
Yeah,
in the
it's not her
town.
fault. It's the magic stuff.
Don't look at the security camera.
But Steven has a better idea, so then we end up on the dock.
That's right. Which Connie also displays her knowledge of boats. Just immediately
Yes.
clocks each type of boat.
And just is like, yeah, that's what happens when you are on the beach and you don't swim and you don't have friends. You look at boats.
Know
That moment
that.
you start saying something and then someone's giving you a look and you're like, this isn't normal. Okay.
Just oh, this is a bad conversation. Let's both bail and just go chase down Onion.
Oh, Onion. This is kind of our first true meeting of Onion and his weirdness.
Love this little weird kid. He's so adorable and also definitely just likes messing with people. I am certain most of this is on purpose to just be a little bit weird.
Just a pure gremlin of chaos.
I mean, it's the vibes of like a not like the younger end of middle schooler, like they just left toddlerhood but haven't let go of being a toddler and being a menace to society. So they're just like, no,
Mhm.
I'm just here to cause problems a little bit on purpose.
Just a little chaos incarnate. So Steven immediately knows that the one person asked for a harpoon gun, definitely Onion.
100%. Ask Onion to get a harpoon gun.
Uh, Onion just stares at him eating popcorn. So Steven's bright idea is like, I'm gonna draw on the side of the bubble
He
and
does a
draws a
cute little
boat.
drawing.
He does a cute little drawing. I don't understand how a circle is supposed to represent anything that you'd use a harpoon on.
I guess the bubble? That's what the circle's supposed to be?
Oh, okay. I'm just silly. I was like, Steven, why are you drawing a Because my brain's like, oh, I draw like a giant fish, and that's what you harpoon. It makes sense that it is the bubble.
I think he
And
was just drawing the whole scene of like, hey, here's the sun, the clouds, get on a boat, harpoon our bubble, which
my brain didn't
Onion
see
does
that.
not Onion doesn't get, which is totally fair because yeah, this is a vague kind of idea. He doesn't draw a harpoon, he just draws a line from the boat to the bubble, which
Yeah,
maybe is a harpoon. So Connie does the smart idea and just writes harpoon gun.
harpoon gun.
And also writes it backwards. She wrote that she had to have written that backwards for it to appear correctly to
Right, and it just
Onion.
shows that Connie is a very I can barely write. I have to think about writing things backwards as a grown adult. Um, Connie just does it immediately. No thoughts.
No thoughts, does it backwards, writes harpoon gun. I do love her turning to Steve and goes, it just made sense.
It just made sense.
Which is like,
And then
yeah,
Onion has a giant harpoon gun.
yeah, Onion understood that part, went on the boat, presumably his dad's boat, to get the harpoon gun.
I hope so. Also,
I
it's a
or
giant harpoon gun.
or someone else's boat. Well, I mean that's standard size harpoon. Probably a whaling harpoon. For you gotta
Don't
get the
go
big
with
ones.
sour cream.
Yeah.
Maybe it
Yeah.
happened because I mean it's quite obvious that gyms attack this area.
That's true.
So
You do
maybe
need
it's
some
also there
defense.
for safety versus like actual fishing.
That makes more sense. There are a lot of gem monsters that just kind of exist. So, especially in the ocean, so a harpoon would really help.
Would actually help. Steven and Connie break apart.
Yeah. Onion points the harpoon at them. They immediately jump to the sides of the bubble because they don't want to get shot by a harpoon. And it just bounces off.
And
Bounces.
sinks another boat, and Onion gives the thumbs up, which makes me feel like Onion has sunk many boats.
Exactly. It just sinks. Also, I love Connie's little, like, sad note where she's like, oh, the trawler.
Color.
It's just sinking. Which, whoever's boat that is, I'm so sorry.
I feel like at this point, sour cream just has like a retainer with the marina because Onion is just like constantly doing things to sabotage or sink boats just for the fun of it.
Like, hey, I have to be ready to pay a bunch of money. Just be like, so sorry about your boat getting sunk. Here is the money to cover that.
Yes. I know this is the second one this year. I'm so sorry. He was bored.
He got someone told him they reminded him I have a harpoon gun and he shot the harpoon gun. So sorry about that.
Yes. Our bad.
Yeah, but it completely sinks the boat, doesn't pop the bubble, so they're still stuck. And I
Mm-hmm.
guess they just leave because we cut to Funland, and I don't know. Did they tell anyone about the sunken boat?
Nope.
Onion's not gonna tell anyone.
They just fully pieced out. I bet Connie was like, we should tell someone. And Steven's like, hold on, I have a better idea to get us out. And then we can tell someone.
Exactly.
So we see for the first time Beach City Funland.
Exactly. Everyone's favorite pier.
Yeah, this is the first time we've seen the pier and everything.
I love it. I miss pier places. Beach piers are great and everyone should go visit one. It's so much fun. There's always a roller coaster and always a tilt-a-whirl. Get on it. It's
I've
great.
never been,
Also, the best funnel cake you'll ever have in your life. There's so much funnel
that
cake
I do
everywhere.
believe.
Funnel
I
cake,
love
there's
a good funnel
always
cake.
ice cream. It's great. Everyone should go to a beach or a marina and then go to the pier. Good for your health. It's one good experience. You get to have fun. And you get to it's always next to the ocean. You're going on a roller coaster that kind of will sometimes go over the water. You get to just see it. It's so pretty.
I mean, I don't like roller coasters, so I would not partake in that. But I mean, all the videos I've ever seen seems fun.
Yes, go. Everyone go. But Steven's plan. Also, I do love the drawings of when we have to have a far away shot of characters and they look so tiny.
Mm-hmm.
Steven and Connie in the faraway shot where their like eyes aren't really detailed and they're just kind of standing next to each other is adorable.
Yes. Yeah.
Cute.
They head to a roller coaster because Steven's bright idea is let's jump in front of the roller coaster.
Which don't do that. Wants to jump in front. The carts also will endanger anyone else in the carts because he wants the carts to slam together and crush the bubble.
Yes.
So it's gonna hurt him. It's also going to hurt the people in the roller coaster carts.
Yes. I mean, we're really seeing the duality of Connie and Steven, which plays a lot in later seasons. Of, they balance each other out to where Steven's very much a small picture person. Connie's the big picture person.
Yep. I do
Uh,
love Steven explains his plan and Connie goes, "Okay, but what happens after the bubble pops?" And
they're
Steven's like,
free.
"Well, we're free." It's Connie's slow blink of just like, "Steven, this is a bad idea."
Steven, this is a bad idea. And even says, Steven, this is a bad idea.
Exactly.
Steven doesn't get that. Then you'll be in front of a roller coaster car.
Exactly. Free falling on a track. That's not good for you.
Yes, he does not see it that way.
Nope. He's like, "Yeah, we'll be free." I haven't thought 2 seconds after that.
Hmm.
Just let's get out of this bubble.
Yeah, and that's how we get the wonderful duality of their friendship.
Exactly. And then while Connie is explaining why this is a bad plan, there's another scream earthquake, and they fall on the tracks.
I think Fall is very liberal. I think Steven tosses them forward a little bit.
Yeah. It seems like it's a plausible accident where if someone asked Steven could go, it was an accident and it was the earthquake and not me at all.
Yep. He's like,
I
Steven
did nothing.
definitely didn't do that. Mr. Smiley sees them, does the responsible adult thing of like, oh no.
Exactly. And just like slams on the brakes immediately.
and they go
because
flying.
they crash into the not well not crash, they fall into the ocean and sink directly to the floor.
And then is just kind of like Connie naturally is freaking out.
She's immediately concerned because we're at the bottom of the ocean and that's terrifying. And then Steven does not make it better by saying, "Good thing this bubble's airtight, otherwise we'd be drowning." It's like, Steven, don't, not right now. That's not
I mean,
funny.
that's what you want to hear when you're freaking out is, "Hey, you could be drowning, so it could be worse."
Exactly. And you're like, No, actually, this is still bad. I know it could be worse. This is still incredibly bad for me."
That's good. It's gonna get worse because then they see a massive shadow pass over them, and it's like a eel worm gem creature.
Exactly. Which, yay! We found the source of the earthquakes. It's not great.
It's not great, but it's a go for them.
Sure, it is. It's glowing for the glowy kelp,
Oh, yeah,
which I'm trying to remember because we see this gem later when they get fixed. They
yes.
live in the kindergarten city, and I'm trying to remember what that gem is.
It is a orange. I got it. 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 Is a corrupted orange spodomine. Spodumene. Spodomine.
Spodumene? Spodumene? I'm taking your word on how that's pronounced. No
According
idea how
that is
that's supposed to be
how
said.
that is spelled according to our friends at the Steven Universe Wiki, which once again is fantastic.
Okay, yep, everyone, please go check it out. It is an amazing wiki.
Yes.
It so much useful information. Yeah, it's we see that gem later. They keep their weird like jelly form.
Yes.
Unclear if that's because of the corruption or if they're supposed to look like that, like jellyfish
Maybe they
people.
just like it. They're like, I enjoyed this when I was in the ocean.
Yeah,
I will continue to look like this.
exactly. Or no, it's not the little kindergarten. It's Little Homeworld. That's the name of the location that they live
Oh,
in
yes.
later.
Yes, yes. You're right.
I was like, wait, no, it's not little. It's Little Homeworld. But yeah, that we see that gym later. But for now, a weird eel tentacle thing. Like they're just a tube with a mouth, and the gem is in the mouth, and they also have like weird fingers all across their head, presumably for grabbing food to put into the
Yeah.
mouth.
It's like a hand worm thing.
Exactly. It's. I'm not. I mean, it looks like a corrupted monster, but unclear. Unclear what this form is. Just is corrupted and is the source of the earthquakes slash screams that we were hearing.
Yes, because we hear the same noise and then it dives through the ocean floor. And Connie and Steven drop again like the abyss into the deeper ocean.
Which terrifying. So terrifying.
Yeah. I think the ocean's a terrifying place to start with.
Exactly. I don't want to go down there. Especially
No.
into the deeper version of the ocean where everything has to like don't go into the deep dark. That's my favorite quote is the ocean. That's where God hides his mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah. But we finally get to where, I mean, Steven's like, this is fine. And Connie finally calls him out of like, how is this fine?
Exactly. It's not fine because Steven doesn't know what's going on. And this is also yeah, that moment where there's no pink on Connie, but there is still on Steven cuz
Yeah.
she's freaking out and starts
And she's
crying.
just really honest. And she's like, we're going to die and we're going to suffocate. And I'm never going to have made a friend. Which you're like, oh, Connie, baby.
Honey,
Honey
sweetness.
bunny.
You are okay. She's also her thing of like, I'm gonna die and no one's even gonna know except for my parents. And it's like, oh,
Mhm.
I mean, I think most people will notice. Oh, she gets so sad. She starts crying, and I get it's so emotional because Connie, no, we would notice. I would notice if
Yeah,
you were gone. I promise.
right? I mean, because at the same time, I mean, the other part is that Steven hasn't realized that this whole time of him getting help from people is like, oh, here are my friends. To someone who's
Like,
actively said, "I have no friends," being like, "Oh, here's my best friend. Here's these guys. Here's Onion. Here's, I have all these people surrounding me." And it's just like hammering that nail of, I only have my parents. And then Steven finally realizes.
exactly. I hadn't even thought of that because yeah, Steven is just going around town talking to people he knows. And they're as much as like Lars is making fun of him, Lars knows Steven and would notice if something happened.
Yeah,
And even though he's making fun, he's still there. He didn't leave. He didn't say it's not his problem. Like every single person Steven has talked to has tried to help him or been immediately concerned about his safety. Even tangentially, like Mr. Smiley, who just stops the roller coaster.
right. I mean, Steven's just been showing this like community that he has around him to someone who has said multiple times this whole episode, I don't have any friends. I'm constantly moving. I'm alone. And it just it breaks. I know Steven realizes it and it breaks her.
Exactly. And
Little
so
little Connie.
she starts crying at the bottom of the ocean where she's sad about never making a friend. And also she is this girl's having a real breakdown because she's also about to die in her mind. Like
Yeah.
this is
She
her
needs to be
imminent death.
self-disciplined.
Exactly. She is what
Or they
I
just
think
kill a monster.
13 right now, and it's a 13-year-old having to confront her own mortality right now.
Yeah.
It's not good.
But then we
But
get the Rose tent back because then Steven's like, we can be friends.
exactly, and he holds out the glow bracelet.
Yeah, he's finally honest with what he's been hoping to do all day as being a friend. We find out that she had dropped it, which is why he had it in the first place at a parade.
Yeah. Oh, I love that Beach City has parades. Just every year, I guess. That's
I would
so
assume
cool.
so. Where we found out Steven was supposed to be a scrub brush on his dad's float.
Exactly. He was on that car wash float. Connie dropped her glow bracelet, and Steven wanted to give it back to her.
Which I love. And then I mean, then you realize that it wasn't just him who saw her, she saw him.
Exactly. They both like noticed each other and thought of each other as people and could have had friendship, and they're like they lose all of that. Oh, we're trying to be like Steven trying to be calm and collected in front of Connie, but also Connie trying to be calm and collected and not freak out about being trapped in a bubble. They're
Mhm.
both just two kids who are like, "Oh yeah, we could have been friends, and I saw you at one time, and I didn't know how to. I couldn't find you later, so I kept your bracelet, and I did the very sweet thing of I put it in the freezer so it would last longer, so you could have your glow bracelet again, which is so nice."
So sweet. And I feel like this is when we finally get, because in a moment the bubble's gonna pop, right?
Hmm.
And it's finally, the moment where Steven stops trying to pretend that he's like this cool whatever dude. And actually it's just like the sweet Steven that we know and love.
When he's regular Steven, the kind of person who can make friends because he's always nice and considerate and kind, that's what gives them that real connection. And
Yes.
that's what pops the bubble. Also, it sucks, but Lars was 100% right. This was a bubble that Steven made because he had feelings. It's 100%
Yeah.
what happened.
100% whether he doesn't realize what those feelings are. To him it's, I want to be friends with this girl that I saw, because we also realize that all the people in Steven's life he's kind of like in that age range where the people are older or younger than him.
Exactly. There's no one his age that he's friends with.
Yeah, and so him actually, it's, and like I grew up in a neighborhood where I was kind of the only kid my age. All the kids were either older than me and younger than me. And so the older kids I want to be cool because they're older kids, the younger kids I want to be cool because it's younger kids. And so finally finding someone, being friends with people my age, it's like, oh, I can be me because you like the
Exactly.
same things I like. I don't have to pretend to like older kid stuff. I don't have to pretend to like younger kid stuff. I can just like stuff that I like.
Exactly. Per our conversation before this, you can have Twilight conversations
Yeah.
with
Before we
people.
recorded, we were talking about Twilight.
We were having a whole bit about sparkling and vampires.
Yeah. So
But
yeah, the
yeah,
bubble pops the moment Steven's truly himself. They're in the deep ocean, which is terrifying.
they were also just talking, so their mouths were open and they breathe reflexively and immediately need to cover their mouths. And
Uh,
Steven,
I can make it. It's fine.
it's Steven again being the faith that the gem should have in him because he does actually do well. His quick thinking, he immediately is like, "We got to get to the surface," and grabs Connie and starts swimming with her.
Yes.
While Connie
And I
is
mean, then
freaking out a little because
freaking
she's
out. But then she returns the favor because then Wormy shows up and he's immediately like, Steven, we have to run.
exactly,
So they run towards the boardwalk. Steven realizes that it's the glow bracelet 'cause it's the same color as the kelp.
exactly,
Uh,
yeah.
grabs the bracelet from Connie, pushing her out of the way of danger.
I do love that because yeah, they run from the glowworm, and Connie is trying to like climb the rocks, whereas Steven is literally running.
Yeah,
A- Again, my sweet sweet boy, he's so smart. He immediately takes the bracelet and starts running from. Has Connie go a different way, and he starts running in between the legs of the pier.
we get a Shrek moment.
Exactly.
Shrek and the dragon. So he ends up tying the worm up into itself and
Which
subsequently causing immense amount of damage to the pier, but it's fine.
listen, this the pier knows this happens all the time. I imagine.
Oh,
Isn't
here,
it?
yes. I was like, what? This happened
No,
at piers in the show.
no.
Yes.
In the show, this kind of damage must happen all the time. In real life, to my knowledge, no. That usually doesn't happen. Where a giant worm kind of comes out and then you have to tie. That, to my knowledge, doesn't happen. You will find
Oh, cool.
people under the pier, but it's never collapsing
Um,
like that.
so worried for a moment. Uh, it collapses. It bursts their form. Um, Connie and Steven hold hands because they just survived actually a scarier thing than I think being in the bottom of the ocean in a bubble.
Listen, drowning is a very passive but awful experience. Being eaten alive, different kind of terror.
Different kind of terror being chased by a monster. The
Exactly.
gyms show up. Either it took them a long time to run or they did not hear the screaming and the roaring.
Exactly. I'm choosing to believe it took them a long time because they just assumed the screaming was happening again. And then
Yeah.
heard the
It
pier
was just
collapse and
more,
went, oh no, this is a problem.
oh, we gotta get over there. Uh, they check to make sure they're okay and what happened. And Connie just me like, Steven was great. He was wonderful. Steven gets all embarrassed. It's cute.
Yeah. I do love while they're having that conversation where like Connie is gushing, Garnet in the background's like immediately on business and going, I gotta go bubble this gem right now.
We gotta take care of this.
Exactly. You guys have your conversation. If it reforms, we're all in trouble.
We're all in trouble. Amethyst is the patronizing older sibling of who's your friend?
Exactly. And then, of course, Pearl is the embarrassing one of
Oh,
like, oh,
mom.
Steven. Yep. Embarrassing mom. Pearl was he was so excited to meet you. Steven wanted to hang out. It's like, don't tell her that.
No, shut up. But I feel
Uh-uh.
like for a moment you're like, oh yeah, Garnet gets these two away and just goes, Yuri met this funky flow, which I feel like is the most embarrassing thing that any of them say.
Exactly. And Connor's like, what is a funky flow?
Funky flow.
And then we get our little star wipe on Steven as
Just
he's like,
mortified.
I don't know what this is. How do I explain this?
Absolutely mortified.
Which, again, your three moms, very embarrassing to you. They love you
Mhm.
so much, they will embarrass you to no end.
Yeah, they have no shame. They are here to embarrass you to the ends of the earth.
Exactly. Or at least to the bottom of the ocean.
It's Bob the oh, that was a good one. But there you have it. That was
Bubble
Bubble Buddies.
Buddies.
I love
It
this episode.
it's such a cute episode. It's one, I love Steven getting to be just a kid around other kids where he's
Mhm.
just having fun and he's, getting to know Connie and trying to be cool. It's the same, it's just some kids like, I want to be interesting and I want other people to like me, which we don't see from Steven a lot because people like him when he's,
Mhm.
personable and himself. He's very charismatic and he makes people like him. And then here's Steven, who, outside of passively wanting a friendship, is very actively trying to make a friend. And you can see him struggling on just how do I be charismatic in a way that I think is interesting and not just his regular, this is how I am with people.
Yes.
And I love that.
Yes, 100%. Ah, such a great episode.
So
And I
fun.
love Connie. Connie's like one of my favorite side characters ever.
Hmm. She
And
is
she has such a
such a
great
great
arc.
character. I love everything about. I love Connie's entire character. I love the journey she goes on, the strength she gets. I love how physically strong she becomes later.
Yes.
My girl can cut through a car. That's crazy. She's like, yeah,
I
with my
mean,
sword, cut a car in half.
just goals.
Yeah, anime protagonist Connie Maheshwar.
So
She
good.
ha- she has the full anime story. She's like, yeah, normal life, meet these magical people, and then I get all these cool training and powers, and now I'm the coolest person you know.
And she is, in fact, the coolest person. Ah, love her.
Every story she has to tell later where it's like, oh no, I was hanging out with my magic friend and his three magic moms on the beach where all the magic people live. It's like, Connie, you have the coolest stories you could tell casually. No, I have to go back. I'm a training knight for this magic prince where I have to just like learn magic and learn how to be a sword fighter for him. So sorry I
Yes.
can't hang out this weekend.
Ah, adore her.
I love it. But yeah, that is the episode.
That's our
Uh
episode, everyone.
it was a fun episode of Steven Universe and a fun episode recording.
Yes. Next time we will be talking about serious Steven.
It's very serious with
Serious.
very serious topics.
It's a very serious episode. I say that like there's not other like crazy serious episodes.
Exactly. None of the other episodes in the show get this serious.
No, none of them are this serious as serious Steven.
Exactly.
Uh,
This is true.
But thank you everyone for listening to this week's episode of The Crystal Den. Uh, please follow and all that fun stuff. Squidward, where can everyone find us and follow us?
Yeah. So you can find us wherever you get your podcast as Crystal Them's Pod, or no, the Crystal Them's Podcast. You can also find us on X, formerly Twitter, now X, unfortunately, at Crystal Them's Pod, or you can email us at crystalthemspodcast@gmail.com. Just as a note, The Fey Mild by Arcane Anthems is our intro and outro music. Check them out on Patreon for other cool music that you can use in other projects or other services, or just to find some really good tunes to listen to throughout the day.
Nice chill tunes. We release our episodes every other Friday. But yeah, you can always follow us on X, and I don't know, I might be starting an Instagram for us to help because not everyone likes X because, well, so if we do that, we'll post and we'll talk about if we have any other new social media accounts. Then we'll talk about new episodes being dropped and come and join the fun.
Yeah, you're one of us, Clods. We wouldn't be the Crystal Thems without you. Star Wipe.
Star